What's happening, guys? I hope your first few weeks of school have been off to a great start. But today we are talking about something that is very important to talk about, and I think that every college student or high school student in general should be aware of, and that is budgeting. More importantly, budgeting for college. Now, it's no doubt that college is expensive. Aside from the amount you pay for tuition, housing, a meal plan, there are literally dozens of other things that you and your family are gonna have to pay for out of pocket. These include but aren't limited to dorm furniture, textbook shopping, money to go out and eat with your friends, groceries. All that stuff can combine to add up to a lot if you aren't keeping track of your personal expenses. You obviously won't realize it now, but personal expenses can become a huge burden if you and your parents don't have a plan and talk it out before you head off to college. So today I'm going to be going through a few tips on how to budget your money throughout college so you guys never run into that situation. Let's jump into it. Now the first and most obvious one is set a budget. Talk with your parents and see if they'll give you a monthly allowance so that you can go out to eat, shopping, or go out on the weekends. You know, nothing too crazy, maybe keep it to $100 or less. My parents have been so key in teaching me how to stick to a budget, so I would definitely recommend having that conversation with your parents as well. The great thing about having something like a monthly budget gives you some leeway on what you can use and when you can use it. For example, if you want to spend 20 bucks on dinner and go out for a weekend, then that means the next few weekends you're gonna have to be a little bit more frugal. Now, if your parents can't or aren't willing to provide you with some cushion money, then don't worry at all. Find a job at your local campus and start saving that up. This is super critical for any kind of college student, especially if you're going to be paying for your own personal expenses. A lot of people see it as a hassle, and in reality, if you find the right job and find the time to fit it into your schedule, it's actually not that bad at all. Personally, for my job on campus, I work as a photographer and videographer, so I do a lot of freelance gigs, so that's kind of how I make my money throughout the year. But there are plenty of jobs, such as in the library, in the dining hall, or just any kind of campus or local job that can easily accommodate your class schedule. The summer is also the perfect time to begin saving up, so you don't have to worry about that while you're acclimating to college as well. Now, this is a major tip. I actually saw it on Twitter, but it's put your hundreds into savings and then use everything else for spending. For example, let's say you make $350 per paycheck, right? You put the $300 into your savings account and then you use the $50 and then try to use that up until your next paycheck. That way you're being way more smart by having a lot more in savings than the amount that you're going to be spending. Now, the third option, become an American Express additional card member. Now, this option might not be available for everyone, but this is the agreement I worked out with my mom because she's an American Express card holder, and it's worked out really well. An additional card is just another credit card on your parents' American Express account. I have a card in my name, but it gets billed to my mom's account. Now, this is very useful for someone like me who needs to travel a lot, and in times of emergencies, this card comes in so handy. My mom also gives me a budget each month so I can track my expenses through the American Express app so I don't go over my spending limit. Because I'm 19, I can also start building credit so I can set myself up in the future. So many things in the real world rely on having credit, so building credit now will be incredibly useful in the future. I use my additional card for things like textbooks, transportation fees, and maybe food once or twice a week. Everything else will go on my personal debit card, things like bubble tea, camera purchases, anything that's going to be a personal expense for me will go on my own card. This way your parents don't have to go out of the way to put an allowance into your account every month, and it just makes things a lot more seamless. Now, before you go crazy because you have your parents' credit card, you really have to be rational and ask yourself, is this a necessity purchase or is this going to be a personal purchase? Always ask yourself that question before you decide which card to use when you're spending. Going off of that, this will also help you begin to prepare for the real world so you know your spending habits and you're smart about your financial decisions and you don't go too crazy with your spending all the time. Now, the last and most obvious thing is limit your expenses. While college is expensive, there are still things that are completely free and don't require a buck out of your wallet. Not everything you do in college has to cost money. Find free events, student discounts, or anything your school has to offer so you don't have to fork out $20 just to go out on the weekends. Especially if you're in a big college town, there will be plenty of stores around campus that offer student discounts, so just always make sure you guys ask beforehand. Also, make sure to be frugal and only go out for special occasions. Maybe it's after final celebration, it's your friend's birthday, or it's just a special occasion. Now, like I said, budgeting for college life is obviously a very important thing, and it should be a skill that should be learned early on, especially throughout your freshman year, so that when you get older, like I said, you're being smart about your financial decision. I think the best method is to talk with your parents and see what's the most feasible, for you and your family's financial situation. Obviously, everyone's circumstances are very different, so, talk it over with your parents and see what works best. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. If you want to learn more about the additional card membership from American Express, make sure to hit that link in my bio. Alright, that's it for this video. Make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.